Commander had seen 300 years of war. Her four arms moved across the holographic controls with practiced ease, cycling through another batch of defeat recordings. The Cosmic Battle Network needed content, and all she had were retreats, evacuations, and last stands that ended in silence. The Devourers had been winning for so long that most species in the Galactic Coalition had forgotten what victory looked like. They were a hive mind that consumed everything, leaving dead worlds in their wake. They didn't negotiate. They didn't stop. They just ate and moved on to the next target. Paused on a new file. The tag read Unknown Species Sol System, First Contact Scenario. She almost deleted it. First contact with the Devourers usually meant watching another civilization die in real time, but protocol required review, so she played it. The footage came from a Devourer scout ship. 50 vessels had entered a system with a single inhabited planet. The locals called it Earth. According to the scanner data, they'd barely achieved faster-than-light travel. Their weapons were primitive. Their ships were crude. This should have been a simple harvest. The humans had other ideas. Watched as a small fleet of human ships appeared to defend their moon. They were outmaneuvered and completely outmatched. Standard procedure for any species facing the Devourers was to evacuate and hope for coalition rescue. The humans charged forward instead. "What are they doing?" muttered, leaning closer to the display. The human ships spread out in a pattern that made no tactical sense. They weren't trying to win. They were trying to delay. Every ship that fell took at least one Devourer vessel with it, sometimes more. When a human frigate lost its weapons, it didn't retreat. It rammed the nearest enemy at full speed. Had never seen anything like it. The battle lasted 18 hours. By the end, the humans had lost everything defending their moon. But the Devourers had lost 37 ships. 37 ships for a worthless rock orbiting a primitive planet. The cost-benefit analysis didn't make sense. Then came the transmission from the last human ship. The vessel was called the Indomitable, and it was dying. Atmosphere vented from a dozen hull breaches. Its engines were failing. Its crew was dead except for the captain. The captain's face appeared on screen. He was bleeding from a head wound and his uniform was scorched, but he was smiling. "To whoever finds this recording," he said, his voice calm despite everything, "we are humanity. We will never surrender. We will never stop fighting. And we will never let you take our home without making you pay for every inch of it." He looked directly at the camera. "For those who come after us know this, Earth still stands, and we're just getting started." The Indomitable turned toward the Devourer flagship. The captain diverted all remaining power to the engines. The ship accelerated far beyond safe limits, the hull shaking apart even as it picked up speed. The captain never stopped smiling. The collision destroyed both ships instantly. Sat in silence for a long time after the footage ended. Then she did something she hadn't done in 70 years. She authorized the recording for immediate broadcast across the entire Cosmic Battle Network. Within hours, the Battle of Luna was being watched by billions of beings across Coalition space. Its communication console exploded with incoming messages. Military commanders demanded to know more about these humans. Civilian populations wanted additional footage. Even the High Council requested a briefing. But the most interesting responses came from the soldiers. Troops who had been preparing to abandon their posts suddenly stood firm. Pilots who had been flying routine patrols requested combat assignments. Species that had been quietly discussing surrender terms began talking about resistance instead. One message came from Lieutenant A officer stationed on the Coalition's Eastern Front. "Who were those people?" she wrote. "I've been fighting for 40 years and I've never seen anyone attack the Devourers like that. They knew they would lose. They did it anyway. Why?" Didn't have an answer, so she did what any good intelligence officer would do. She looked for more data. The Coalition had extensive files on every member species. pulled up humanity's first contact report, expecting the usual information about culture, biology, and technology. What she found instead made her blood run cold. Humanity had been at war with itself for its entire recorded history. The conflicts had names like World War I, World War II, and the nuclear exchange. They had killed each other with everything from pointed sticks to weapons that could destroy entire continents. They had refined warfare into an art form over thousands of years. One particular document caught her attention. It was a human military doctrine called mutually assured destruction. The principle was simple. If we can't win, we'll make sure you lose too. The humans had actually built enough weapons to destroy their own planet multiple times over, just to ensure that any enemy would die with them. These weren't desperate survivors fighting for their lives. These were apex predators who had finally found something other than themselves to fight. Made a decision. She opened a priority channel to the Coalition High Command. I request authorization to establish formal contact with humanity and invite them to join the Coalition military effort. The High Council representative, a crystalline being named H, appeared on her screen. Based on what evidence, Commander? They've had one engagement. They lost. They made the Devourers pay 37 ships for a moon. Counselor, when was the last time we managed that exchange ratio? H was silent for a moment. The Battle of Luna recording has been viewed 2 billion times in the last 6 hours. Recruitment applications have increased by 400%. Make contact with the humans, Commander. Offer them full military partnership. And get me more footage. 3 days later, a Coalition diplomatic vessel entered the Sol system. The humans were ready for them, weapons armed and shields raised. Stepped forward alone, broadcasting on all frequencies. Humanity of Earth, I am commander of the Galactic Coalition. We watched your battle. We saw what you did. And we're here to ask if you want to make the Devourers pay for what they tried to take from you. The response came from someone who identified herself as Admiral Sarah. Commander, we've been scanning the galaxy since the attack. We've seen what these things have done to other worlds. So yes, we're in. But we need to know, are you ready for what we bring to this fight? Because we don't do half measures. We don't do strategic retreats. We don't know how to quit. Looked at the human admiral's face on her screen. She saw determination there and something else. Something hungry. Admiral, the galaxy is dying. We've been losing for 3 centuries. We need something different. We need something the Devourers haven't seen before. Then you came to the right place, said. Humans have been perfecting the art of war since we climbed down from the trees. We've fought each other, we've fought nature, we've fought reality itself. The Devourers are just one more enemy. And Commander, we've never met an enemy we couldn't hurt. Transmitted the coordinates for Coalition headquarters. Welcome to the war, humanity. The Cosmic Battle Network will be watching. Good, replied. Let them watch. Let the whole galaxy watch. It's time they remembered what it looks like when someone fights back. The transmission ended and sat back in her command chair. She had no idea if humanity would make a difference in this war. But for the first time in 300 years, she felt something she'd almost forgotten. Hope. 6 months passed, and hope proved justified in ways she never imagined. Humanity threw itself into the war with terrifying enthusiasm. They didn't just fight the Devourers. They studied them, analyzed them, and found new ways to hurt them every single day. The Cosmic Battle Network became humanity's stage. Every engagement featuring human forces drew record viewership. The Coalition High Command initially worried about broadcasting human defeats, but those concerns disappeared after the siege of New Sahara. A human marine unit, 200 strong, was tasked with defending a supply depot on a desert world. The Devourers surrounded them with 10,000 troops. Standard protocol called for immediate evacuation. The Marines requested additional ammunition instead. The siege lasted 17 days. watched every hour of footage, unable to look away. The Marines fought with a precision that spoke of generations of military tradition. When they ran low on ammunition, they switched to hand-to-hand combat. When their weapons broke, they fashioned new ones from devourer corpses. Lieutenant who had become obsessed with human tactics, sent daily analysis reports. "They're not fighting to win," she wrote on day 12. "They're fighting to make the enemy pay. Every Marine who falls takes dozens of devourers with them. It's not about holding the depot anymore. It's about making the devourers regret ever attacking it." On day 17, only 3 Marines remained. They were out of ammunition, out of food, and surrounded by thousands of enemies. The devourers prepared for a final assault. The Marines had one last trick. They'd been rigging the depot's reactor core since day 1. The explosion vaporized 12,000 devourers and left a crater visible from orbit. The last transmission from Sergeant Cole was 8 words long. "Worth it. Tell Earth we did our job." The footage went viral across 1,000 worlds. Species that hadn't fought back in decades suddenly remembered their own military traditions. Pilots started painting human symbols on their ships for luck. Ground troops adopted human battle cries in their own languages. But the most significant change happened within the devourer hive mind itself. For the first time in recorded history, devourers began avoiding certain targets. It took coalition intelligence 3 weeks to identify the pattern. They were avoiding positions defended by humans. Brought this finding to the High Council personally. The devourers are changing their behavior. They're routing around human strong points, even when those positions are strategically valuable. H studied the tactical maps with disbelief. They've never done this before. They've always taken the most direct route regardless of cost. "The humans have taught them something new," explained. "The concept of an unacceptable loss. Even when the devourers win against human forces, they lose so many troops that the victory becomes meaningless. The hive mind has learned that humans are too expensive to fight." The crystalline counselor shimmered with what had learned to recognize as excitement. "Do you understand what this means, Commander? Humanity has done in 6 months what we couldn't do in 3 centuries. They've made the devourers afraid." "Not afraid, Counselor, cautious. There's a difference." "Then we need to make them afraid. What do the humans need to accomplish this?" Had been waiting for this question. They need a target, something big, something that will send a message to every devourer in the galaxy. And they need the entire coalition to fight alongside them, using human tactics. "Set it up, Commander, and make sure the Cosmic Battle Network captures everything." Returned to her office and opened a secure channel to Admiral. "Admiral, how would you feel about teaching the rest of the galaxy how humans fight?" Smile was sharp. "Commander, we've been waiting for someone to ask. What did you have in mind?" 2 years into the war, everything changed. The devourers launched their largest offensive in recorded history. Their target was Sanctuary, the coalition capital world. Over 500 species had refugees living there. If Sanctuary fell, the coalition would collapse within months. The High Council ordered a general retreat, preserve the military assets, regroup at secondary positions, live to fight another day. It was the sensible, logical choice. Humanity said no. Admiral's response to the retreat order was broadcast across the entire Cosmic Battle Network. She stood on the bridge of her flagship, surrounded by her command crew, looking directly at the camera. "High Council, with all due respect, retreat is not in humanity's vocabulary. You brought us into this war because we don't quit. You broadcast our battles because we show the galaxy what it looks like to fight back. And now you want us to abandon 500 species worth of refugees because the odds are bad." She shook her head. "That's not happening. Humanity stands at Sanctuary. We invite the rest of the coalition to stand with us. But whether you do or not, we're not leaving." Watched the speech from the coalition command center. Around her, officers from dozens of species stood frozen, waiting to see what would happen next. The silence stretched for exactly 12 seconds. Then the responses started coming in. Fleet Admiral OK of the Stand with Humanity, Commander X of the If Humans Are Fighting, So Are We, Captain N of the Crystal Singers, Sanctuary Will Not Fall. Within an hour, every coalition military unit in range had canceled their retreat orders and turned toward Sanctuary. Felt tears form in her eyes. She'd spent 300 years watching her people lose. Now, for the first time, she was watching them remember how to win. The Battle of Sanctuary began on a Tuesday, at least by human reckoning. The Devourers came in waves, thousands of ships supported by millions of ground troops. Their plan was simple: overwhelm the defenders through sheer numbers. It had worked for centuries. They hadn't counted on fighting an entire galaxy that had learned from humanity. Admiral coordinated the defense from her flagship. The human fleet took point position, deliberately drawing enemy fire. But this time, they weren't alone. Cruisers used human hit-and-run tactics. Fighters adopted human kamikaze protocols. Crystal Singers broadcast psychological warfare directly into the Devourer hive mind, something humans had suggested 3 months ago. Lieutenant A commanded a mixed-species ground unit defending Sanctuary's main spaceport. Her troops included humans and a dozen other species. They trained together using human military doctrine. When the Devourers came, they were ready. "Remember what the humans taught us," A said over the command channel. "We don't have to win every engagement. We just have to make them pay for every inch of ground, make them regret ever coming to Sanctuary." The ground battle lasted 9 days. A's unit held the spaceport against odds that would have seemed impossible a year ago. They used human tactics, layered defenses, tactical retreats that led enemies into kill zones, and a willingness to sacrifice individual units to preserve the whole. On day 7, A found herself fighting alongside a human sergeant named James. They were pinned down in a cargo bay, surrounded by Devourers on 3 sides. Was calmly rigging explosives while providing covering fire. "You seem very relaxed for someone about to die," A observed. Grinned, "Lieutenant, my grandfather fought in the Amazon Wars. My mother survived the nuclear exchange. I grew up hearing stories about what humans can do when backed into a corner. This," he gestured at the surrounding enemies, "this is just Tuesday." The explosives detonated 30 seconds after they escaped. The cargo bay collapsed, taking out an entire Devourer command node. In space, Admiral was orchestrating what historians would later call the greatest naval battle in galactic history. Human ships darted through the battlefield, each one a precision instrument of destruction. When a ship was too damaged to continue fighting, it didn't retreat. It found the highest value target and rammed it at maximum speed. The captain of the destroyer Relentless was a woman named Maria Santos. Her ship had lost weapons, shields, and half its crew. She could have pulled back. Instead, she aimed her dying vessel at a Devourer carrier and diverted all power to engines. "This is Captain Santos to all coalition forces," she broadcast. "Humans don't surrender, humans don't retreat, and humans never ever let their friends fight alone, for Sanctuary, for humanity, for everyone." The Relentless tore through the Devourer carrier like it was made of paper. The explosion took out 3 supporting vessels. Captain Santos didn't survive, but her sacrifice opened a hole in the enemy formation that coalition forces exploited ruthlessly. Watched from the command center, tears streaming down her face. She was broadcasting everything to the Cosmic Battle Network. The entire galaxy was watching. On day 13, something unprecedented happened. The Devourer fleet stopped advancing. Their ground forces held position. For 6 hours, they simply waited while the hive mind processed information. Then slowly, they began to withdraw. The coalition forces were too stunned to pursue immediately. The Devourers were retreating, actually retreating. It had never happened before. Admiral's voice cut through the shocked silence. All units pursue at maximum speed. Don't let them forget what happened here. Don't let them forget what it costs to attack our home. The pursuit lasted 2 more days. By the time the Devourers jumped to faster than light, they'd lost 60% of their invasion force. The coalition had won the greatest victory in 300 years. Sanctuary was saved. Sat in her command center, exhausted and elated in equal measure. Around her, officers from 100 species celebrated together. She opened the priority channel to Admiral. "Admiral, you did it. You actually did it." Appeared on screen, her uniform dirty and her face tired, but she was smiling. "We did it, Commander, all of us. Humanity just showed you the way." "What happens now?" asked. Now we take the fight to them. We show the Devourers that the galaxy isn't theirs for the taking anymore. We show them that there are things worth fighting for and people willing to die to protect those things." Smile grew sharper. "We show them what happens when humanity decides you're the enemy." Began preparing her final broadcast. The Cosmic Battle Network had recorded everything, and now the entire galaxy would watch the victory. She started writing the message that would accompany the footage. "For 300 years, we forgot what it meant to fight back. We forgot that survival isn't about running away. It's about standing up and saying no more. Humanity didn't save us with superior technology or overwhelming numbers. They saved us by reminding us who we are. They taught us that surrender is not inevitable. They showed us that the will to fight matters more than the odds of winning." She paused, thinking about everything she'd witnessed. The battles, the sacrifices, the impossible victories. Then she continued writing. "The war continues. The Devourers still threaten us, but something has changed. We've changed. We fight like humans now. We stand our ground. We protect our allies. We make the enemy pay for every inch of ground, every ship, every life. And we never, ever surrender." Sent the broadcast. Within minutes, it was playing on every screen in Coalition space. Soldiers watched it and stood taller. Civilians watched it and felt hope. Even the Devourers, somewhere in their vast hive mind, watched it and understood. The galaxy had learned to fight back. And they'd learned from the best teachers imaginable. A species that had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of war, who treated every battle like it was their last, and who refused to let anyone threaten those they'd chosen to protect. Humanity had joined the war 2 years ago. In that time, they'd done more than just fight. They'd reminded the galaxy what it meant to be warriors, and that, more than any weapon or tactic, was what would win this war. The Cosmic Battle Network would keep broadcasting. The battles would continue. But now, every species in the coalition fought with a human phrase on their lips, translated into 1,000 languages but carrying the same meaning. Never surrender, never retreat, and never let them take what's yours without making them bleed for it. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy, and it was the beginning of the end for the Devourers.